What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RC's Gateway to Comics. Today, we are going to be taking another look at the sci fi fantasy adventure of Pirate Queen, a book written by Mandy Summers with art by Clint. It was also created by Clint, and this is the second issue of an ongoing series. So, let's jump into it. Now, you may not be able to see this cover very well because it is one of the shiny covers, but in person it looks really good. So it actually is probably one of the the better covers that I've seen in the crowdfunded sphere because I don't know, I may just be easily entertained because it's shiny, but it also has a hot pirate chick on it. So for those of you who know me quite well, then you know that I like pirates. Anyways, it continues two stories from the previous book. If you remember correctly, the Pirate Queen story sort of has two stories going concurrently. So the first story is Ava Bloodstone fighting back against Commandant Raylo and the Imperial Federation. And that's sort of your initial introduction to the Pirate Queen. And it's sort of a quicker paced story because it's at the beginning and it's just meant to be your introduction to this universe. So you get you get to see the sci-fi weapons that they're using. You get a little bit of an introduction to the parody type humor in that story, and you get a better introduction to the Pirate Queen and her crew, I guess you can say. So that little bit is what you get at the beginning of the book. And I'm gonna get into all of this stuff, like the art, a little bit later, but there is reasons why this part is some of my it's the part that I like better. So after that story not really wraps up because it is continuing. After that story is cut off at the end, it goes into a second story, which is the Pirate Queen and her crew helping Princess Alaria escape from her planet and from her soon to be marriage to the villain General Zorn. And that's another story that carries over from the first book, whenever she was first sent to that planet by the princess's brother. It is a good continuation. It does help to build up those characters, and you end up seeing more of the relationship with her crew, and also the pirates of outer space. So that is it's definitely a worthy continuation of this story. It also goes into it sort of evolves into a treasure hunt and also a bit of the pirates fighting back against a group of characters called the Star Stalkers, which you see here. Very cool designs, by the way. And that's pretty much where you leave off. They're fighting against those characters, and I'm not going to go into details about what goes on in the stories, but I will say that it's decent action. It carries along at a good pace. The plot points are laid out quite efficiently. They are fun to follow. It is very good sci-fi action, very colorful, and it's it's going to be interesting to see where these two stories go in the next installment in the Pirate Queen story. Because I know that it's sort of like a crossover event with Slave Girl versus Pirate Queen, and that is Slave Girl from Planet X. And I'm not sure which of those stories this is going to be continuing, or if it's going to be a third story, but the science fiction aspect and the piracy aspect I do find to be quite fun. Also, the characters are quite sexy, and I have a weakness for sexy women. So, that is it's my weakness, and probably a lot of men's weaknesses. So, yeah, this book definitely has that going for it. Um, Now, what I wanted to talk about with the art style, which I had mentioned before, and why I said the first story is probably the one that stuck out to me the most. Whenever it comes to this book, and a lot of Clint's work. Now, I want to preface this by saying that all art styles are subjective, and you may think the same way as me, you may not. Totally okay, but this is my review. Whenever it comes to the art styles for these books, there are times whenever I can see that Clint is putting a lot more effort into the work, and there's other times whenever I see that it sometimes seems like it could use a little bit more touch-ups. So, whenever you take a look at the first story, now you'll notice with these characters that there is a little bit softer shadows, and there's not like hard differences hard differences between like the lightness on a skin or a shadow, and like everything seems to flow better in the first story's art. And like even with the stuff like the energy swords, like with this stuff, there's a lot more detail put into it. Like in general, the first story does have a lot more detail in the art, and it does help it stand out more. I feel like this one was the one that had the most effort behind the art, and it continues from page 1 to the ending of that story. So that art for that story is very consistent, and it it doesn't have a bunch of hard breaks between highlights, regular colors, and shadows. So having that consistency in that story, in that art, is something that's going to keep me coming back. Now, whenever it comes to the second story, there is a lot of differences in the art style. There are times whenever. Okay, so let's go with the first page. The first page has pretty much has Ava and Alaria, and they're sort of discussing what the situation is on as a continuation from the first story. This looks like a piece that would be right at home in the first story because there's not hard color breaks, it looks softer, there's a little bit more detail put into it. And then whenever you flip the pages, all of a sudden You're getting hard line differences, much more of a coloring shift. Like even Ava's hair. No, even Ava's hair from this panel to this panel is a little bit different. And whenever you see this difference, and this isn't even like the biggest difference in this book, it does make you think that there's definitely some pages that Clint wanted to put a lot more effort into, and the pages that he didn't do suffer for it. Alright, so just a little editing thing. This part I'm not going to really be able to show because of how YouTube guidelines are, but there are some times whenever it does get very risque in the Pirate Queen book, and that's mostly because Clint's universe has a much more raunchy story type behind it. It's sort of like if you put science fiction in like a sex comedy. And one of the pages that I want to show you guys for what I'm meaning when it comes to consistency, like art consistency, I can't show you because I don't want to get this video taken down. But there are some times whenever it will look like the only colors that were put into a panel were the flat colors. And whenever there's panels like that, and then literally on the next page, there's colors that have highlights and shadows to them, then it's very much an artistic whiplash. And it's something that has stuck out to me about Clint's work. There's times whenever I really like it, and then there's times where I think that could use a little bit more time. So that's what makes the Pirate Queen series a difficulty for me to review, because I do like the story, I do like the characters, sometimes I most of the time like the artwork, and I like pirates, so I'm going to like this book. But then there's other times where it's like, oh, the art. Oh, the art. It's like it needs a little bit more. And again, to close out this whole art discussion, I know art is subjective. You may think the same thing, you may not. It's totally okay. This is just what my thoughts are on this book. There's times whenever I love Clint's art, and there's times whenever I'm very iffy on it. With Pirate Queen, it goes back and forth. So, what am I going to rate Pirate Queen with all of this stuff in mind? I am probably going to have to give this. Well, I'm stuck between a low popcorn level and a high PB&J level. And what I'm probably going to do, since I enjoy the characters, since I enjoyed the story, I'm going to give it a low popcorn level. And also because there is art in this that I do like, I'm not going to punish that. But with that stuff that I had mentioned, it does need more, just in my mind. So, Pirate Queen issue 2 is a low popcorn level with the potential to be high popcorn level if the art was consistent. So, I know that Clint has other stuff that he is putting out. I do urge you guys to support him and definitely support his work. He is a very passionate artist. I will definitely give him that. And like I said, there is a lot of his artwork that I do like. So definitely go out and support his work. And speaking of supporting Clint's work, I'd also gotten the Pirate Queen art book during this campaign. I can't really show you anything in this because it is very much not appropriate for YouTube, but it is art that Clint excels at. There are a lot of pinups in here. It does showcase his more detailed art, and I could see that he put his all into this. So I would definitely recommend checking out his work. And whenever he's really good, he is really good. I will give him that. So definitely go and support him. I will keep checking out the Pirate Queen books because I like characters, I like the story, and I like pirates. With that all being said, let me know what you guys' thoughts are on Pirate Queen and this universe that is being built up. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on it. And also, if you would, please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. And also subscribe if you would like to see more reviews about really good comics just like this one in the future. So, thank you guys all for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. Peace out.